The vast chamber of the Galactic Council stretched like an impossible cathedral of light and crystalline architecture. Holographic displays cascaded around the circular platform, each representing the territorial claims and technological achievements of established stellar civilizations. Hundreds of delegates from across the known universe sat in tiered seating, their forms as diverse as the galaxies they represented. And then there was Earth. A single human representative stood at the lowest tier of the diplomatic platform, a position that spoke volumes about the Council's current perception. Elena Rodriguez carried herself with a composure that seemed to challenge the very architecture of dismissal surrounding her. Her dark blue diplomatic uniform was crisp, unremarkable, a deliberate choice that allowed her to blend into the background while observing everything. The current speaker, a towering Vexarian diplomat with skin like polished obsidian and eyes that shifted like living mercury, droned on about resource allocation. Its long, serpentine fingers gestured dismissively toward the human section. The newest members continue to demonstrate minimal technological progress, the creature announced, its translation software rendering the words with a clinical precision that barely concealed contempt. Elena did not flinch. She had heard worse, and she understood something the other delegates did not. Preparation was an art form. The Galactic Council had existed for thousands of stellar cycles, a complex network of advanced civilizations that had long since mapped the majority of traversable space. They had witnessed the rise and fall of countless species, categorizing each according to their technological capabilities, resource potential, and strategic value. Humanity had been granted provisional membership, the lowest possible status, just 3 solar cycles ago. Most council members saw humans as barely capable of maintaining their own solar system, let alone participating in meaningful galactic diplomacy. Their faster-than-light capabilities were considered primitive, their defensive technologies laughable. What they did not see was the intricate network of research facilities, the underground laboratories, and the strategic planning that hummed beneath the surface of human civilization. Elena's fingers, seemingly idle, traced subtle patterns on her data tablet. To an untrained eye, it would appear to be a simple gesture of diplomatic boredom. In reality, she was sending encrypted data bursts, coordinating a global network of scientists, military strategists, and political operatives. The Vexarian continued its report. Star charts shifted behind it, showing resource distribution and potential conflict zones. Elena noted each detail with a precision that belied her apparently casual attention. Every line, every projected conflict, every resource allocation told a story, and she was reading between those lines. Near her, the other human delegates sat in carefully orchestrated poses of deference. Junior diplomats who had been coached to appear non-threatening, non-ambitious. They played their roles perfectly, understanding that invisibility was sometimes the most powerful form of visibility. A Kryalzin representative, a massive creature that looked like a combination of geological formation and living machine, rumbled its agreement with the Vexarian's assessment. Its rocky appendages gestured toward the human section, a movement that would have been interpreted as dismissive by most. But Elena was not most people. She understood that being underestimated was not a weakness. It was a strategic advantage. The diplomatic session continued, a complex dance of political maneuvering and subtle threats. Star systems were traded like commodities, potential conflicts mapped and negotiated with clinical precision. Humanity remained at the margins, a footnote in the grand narrative of galactic politics. What no one in the chamber realized was that every moment was being recorded, analyzed, understood. Every diplomatic interaction was another piece of intelligence, another data point in a much larger strategy. The human representative allowed herself the briefest hint of a smile. Let them continue to believe humanity was insignificant. Let them maintain their comfortable illusion of superiority. Preparation, after all, was an art form, and humanity was about to become the most accomplished artist the galaxy had ever seen. The session would soon conclude. But for Elena Rodriguez, the real work was just beginning. Deep within the rocky interior of Callisto, Jupiter's second-largest moon, a research complex hummed with activity that would shatter every assumption the Galactic Council held about humanity. The facility existed nowhere on official records, its entrance camouflaged beneath layers of geological scanning interference and quantum-encrypted security systems. Dr. Helena Nakamura stood before a holographic display that seemed to breathe with potential. Her team represented the most brilliant minds humanity could assemble, scientists who had been carefully selected not just for their intellectual capabilities, but for their ability to think beyond conventional limitations. The current project was nothing short of revolutionary. Quantum displacement drives lined the walls of the primary research chamber, each unit a marvel of engineering that challenged everything known about space-time manipulation. Where other species saw the laws of physics as immutable constraints, these human researchers saw them as suggestions to be rewritten. Quantum entanglement stabilization at 97.3%, announced a young researcher, her voice calm despite the magnitude of their breakthrough. Holographic displays danced with complex mathematical models that would have appeared incomprehensible to most observers. Helena understood the true significance of their work. The Galactic Council viewed humanity as a species of limited potential, confined to a single solar system with rudimentary faster-than-light capabilities. What they did not realize was that humanity had been playing a different game entirely. Each research facility, like this one, was a piece of a much larger puzzle, scattered across the solar system, beneath the ice of Europa, within the magnetic shield generators of Mars, in orbital platforms that appeared to be simple communication relays. Teams of scientists were pushing the boundaries of known technology. The quantum displacement drive represented more than just a technological breakthrough. It was a strategic masterpiece. Traditional faster-than-light travel relied on warping space or creating temporary wormholes. Those methods were predictable, detectable. Humanity's approach was fundamentally different. Instead of moving through space, these drives would essentially allow a vessel to momentarily exist everywhere and nowhere, a concept that would render traditional tracking methods completely obsolete. System integrity check complete, another researcher called out. A three-dimensional model of a starship materialized in the center of the room, its design unlike anything in current galactic catalogs. Sleek yet purposeful, it looked more like a living system than a traditional spacecraft. Helena walked around the holographic representation, her fingers trailing through the light. Each component had been designed with multiple fail-safe systems, each potential weakness transformed into a strategic advantage. The ship was more than a vessel. It was a statement of human potential. In another section of the complex, weapons research teams worked on technologies that redefined the concept of defensive and offensive capabilities. Plasma quantum hybrid systems that could adapt in real time, energy dispersal technologies that could potentially neutralize entire attack vectors, computational systems that learned and evolved faster than any known artificial intelligence. The researchers worked with a sense of purpose that went beyond mere scientific curiosity. They understood they were preparing for something more significant than a potential conflict. They were establishing humanity's place in a universe that had yet to understand their true potential. Communication between these distributed research centers happened through quantum-encrypted channels so complex that intercepting them would be mathematically impossible. Each facility appeared independent, but they were part of a carefully orchestrated global effort. Military strategists worked alongside scientific teams, understanding that technological innovation was as much about application as it was about creation. Every breakthrough was immediately analyzed for its strategic implications, every design considered from multiple perspectives. Primary quantum matrix stable, Helena murmured, more to herself than to anyone else in the room. The holographic ship rotated slowly, its design speaking of potential energy waiting to be unleashed. Outside the facility, Callisto appeared unchanged. Jupiter's massive form dominated the skyline, its storms continuing their eternal dance. To any external observer, nothing remarkable was happening. But within these walls, Humanity was writing the next chapter of its cosmic story, a story that the Galactic Council was not yet prepared to read. The first signs came as whispers across quantum communication networks, distant star systems going dark. Not the gentle dimming of stellar evolution, but the abrupt silence of total consumption. Deep space monitoring stations, scattered across multiple civilizations, began receiving fragmented transmissions. Each message told a story of unimaginable destruction. The Nexus swarm had emerged from the dark spaces between known star systems, a collective consciousness that moved like a single predatory organism through the cosmic landscape. Admiral Michael Chen studied the incoming data streams in the Global Defense Coordination Center beneath the Andes Mountains. Massive holographic displays surrounded him, each showing different perspectives of the unfolding galactic crisis. His team, a diverse group of specialists from every continent, worked with a precision that spoke of years of preparation. The Nexus swarm was unlike any threat humanity had encountered in its limited galactic interactions. Initial reports suggested a biomechanical collective that consumed entire planetary systems, converting organic and technological matter into resources for its continuous expansion. Traditional defensive strategies would be useless against such an opponent. Transmission from the Galactic Council, a communications specialist announced, her voice tight with controlled tension. The holographic display shifted, revealing the panicked faces of various alien diplomats. The Vexarian representative, who had previously dismissed humanity so casually, now looked desperate. "We require immediate assistance," the alien's translation matrix conveyed, stripped of its previous condescension. Star charts behind the diplomat showed entire sectors being consumed, civilizations hundreds of thousands of years old vanishing within solar cycles. Michael Chen's expression remained unchanged. Preparation was not just about technological capability. It was about maintaining clarity of purpose when chaos surrounded you. Analysis. He called out to Dr. Samira Khan, the lead xenobiological researcher positioned to his right. Her holographic display erupted with complex biological and technological schematics. "The Nexus swarm appears to be a collective intelligence," she explained. "Each consumed system adds to its computational and material capacity. It's not just consuming, it's evolving with each conquest." The Global Defense Network, a system developed in absolute secrecy, now hummed with potential. Satellites and monitoring stations that appeared to be simple communication relays were, in fact, highly sophisticated defense platforms. Years of careful preparation had transformed humanity's technological infrastructure into a hidden shield. Diplomatic channels across the Galactic Council were in complete disarray. Species that had considered themselves technological titans found their most advanced defense systems overcome in moments. The Nexus swarm moved with a computational precision that suggested something beyond mere biological or mechanical intelligence. "We're tracking multiple invasion vectors," another specialist reported. Holographic projections showed the swarm's movement, not random, but calculated. Each advance seemed to target specific strategic points, consuming resources and technological infrastructure with surgical precision. Michael understood the deeper implication. This was not just an invasion. It was a systematic elimination of potential resistance. The Galactic Council's emergency communications continued to flood in. Pleas for assistance, requests for strategic support, raw data showing the total collapse of entire stellar civilizations. Where once humanity had been considered a footnote in galactic politics, they were now the only hope for many of these advanced species. Dr. Khan's analysis continued. The swarm adapts faster than any known intelligence. Traditional warfare becomes obsolete within solar cycles of engagement. Each system consumed provides new technological and computational capabilities. Michael's hand moved subtly, activating a series of encrypted communication protocols. The human research facilities that had been working in absolute secrecy were now being brought to full readiness. Quantum displacement drives that had been theoretical were now being prepared for actual deployment. "Prepare initial response protocols," he commanded. The room shifted, every specialist understanding the weight of those words. Humanity had been preparing for this moment, not out of aggression, but out of a fundamental understanding that survival in the universe required more than technological capability. It required adaptability, strategic thinking, and an unbreakable collective will. The Nexus swarm was about to encounter something it had not anticipated, a species that refused to be consumed. The void between star systems held its breath. Captain Lucas Freeman watched the quantum displacement monitors with an intensity that bordered on meditation. The experimental vessel, designated Pathfinder 01, represented humanity's most advanced technological achievement. Its hull incorporated metamaterials that could bend light, radiation, and quantum signatures in ways that defied conventional understanding. Nexus swarm formation approaching, Lieutenant Sarah Rodriguez announced, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what was about to unfold. The bridge of the Pathfinder 01 was a marvel of integrated human engineering. Every surface a potential sensor, every system designed with multiple layers of redundancy and adaptive capability. The Nexus Swarm's battle group appeared on their long-range scanners. Biomechanical ships that looked more like living organisms than traditional spacecraft. Thousands of interconnected vessels that moved with a singular, terrifying intelligence. Each ship was both a weapon and a computational node, constantly analyzing, adapting, consuming. Quantum signature masking at maximum. Freeman commanded. The ship seemed to shimmer, not quite disappearing but becoming something less than fully present. Traditional sensor systems would struggle to lock onto their position, a deliberate design that challenged everything known about stealth technology. The first engagement would be a statement, not just a military action, but a demonstration of human potential. Galactic Council observation platforms, scattered across multiple star systems, recorded the approach. Most expected another quick consumption, another civilization about to be absorbed into the Nexus swarm's collective intelligence. They were about to be proven wrong. The Pathfinder 01's weapon systems were unlike anything in current galactic catalogs. Quantum-entangled plasma cannons that could simultaneously exist in multiple potential states. Energy dispersal systems that could deconstruct molecular bonds at a fundamental level. Computational targeting systems that predicted enemy movements before the enemy itself could calculate them. Engagement parameters locked, Rodriguez reported. Her fingers danced across holographic interfaces, each movement part of a complex computational ballet. The Nexus swarm's leading vessels began their approach. Biomechanical tendrils extended, preparing to consume and integrate the target into their collective system. They had conquered civilizations thousands of years more advanced than humanity. This would be another simple acquisition. They did not understand what they were facing. The first strike came not as a traditional weapon discharge, but as a quantum disruption field. Suddenly, portions of the swarm's leading ships began to deconstruct at a molecular level. Not destroyed, deconstructed. As if the very fundamental bonds holding their biomechanical structures together were being systematically unraveled. Freeman's voice remained calm. Adaptive targeting engage. Computational defense systems neutralizing collective intelligence nodes. It was more than a battle. It was a conversation conducted in the language of physics and information theory. The Pathfinder 01 moved with an impossible grace. Where traditional ships would turn or accelerate, this vessel seemed to fold space around itself. One moment existing in a specific coordinate, the next appearing in a completely different location without any observable transition. Swarm vessels began to fall, not through brute force, but through a systematic deconstruction of their computational and structural integrity. Each destroyed ship released computational data back into the system, data that the Pathfinder 01 was simultaneously analyzing and using to predict future engagement strategies. Collective intelligence disruption at 63%, Rodriguez reported. The numbers meant more than simple percentages. They represented the systematic breakdown of a seemingly invincible technological organism. Observation platforms across multiple star systems recorded the engagement, What should have been a one-sided confrontation became something else entirely. A single human vessel was not just defending itself, it was teaching a lesson about the nature of technological adaptation. The Nexus swarm had consumed civilizations. They had integrated technological systems from thousands of different species, but they had never encountered an intelligence that saw warfare as a form of complex problem-solving. They had never encountered humanity. As the last of the leading swarm vessels disappeared into quantum disruption fields, Captain Freeman allowed himself the briefest hint of a smile. This was just the beginning. The moment of revelation came with a silence that was more profound than any explosion. Hundreds of human vessels emerged simultaneously, materializing across multiple star systems with a precision that defied conventional understanding of space-time. Each ship was a masterpiece of engineering, sleek, adaptive, and carrying technologies that would rewrite every known principle of space combat. The Global Defense Coordination Center beneath the Andes Mountains transformed into a symphony of controlled chaos. Holographic displays erupted with tactical information, showing the simultaneous deployment of a fleet that had existed only in whispered rumors and classified research documents. Admiral Helena Rodriguez stood at the center of this orchestrated awakening. Her uniform, crisp and unadorned, carried the weight of humanity's most significant moment in galactic history. Years of preparation, decades of strategic planning, were about to be unveiled. "All systems are go," she announced, her voice cutting through the technological hum of the command center. Each vessel represented more than just a military asset. They were living proof of human potential, ships that could adapt, learn, and evolve faster than any known technological system in the galaxy. Quantum displacement drives allowed them to exist in multiple potential states, rendering traditional tracking methods completely obsolete. The Galactic Council's communication networks erupted in a cascade of confusion and panic. Sensor logs from multiple observation platforms showed the impossible, a human fleet that seemed to appear from nowhere, positioned with surgical precision across strategic points in multiple star systems. Quantum signature masking at maximum, a senior tactical officer reported. The ships moved like thought made manifest, slipping between the conventional boundaries of space and possibility. On the primary communication channel, a transmission went out. Not a declaration of war, but a statement of purpose. "We are prepared," came the message, simple and direct. The Nexus swarm, still reeling from its first defeat, found itself confronted with a threat it could not immediately comprehend. Where previous civilizations had been quickly consumed, humanity presented something entirely different, a technological and strategic approach that existed beyond the swarm's computational models. Each human vessel carried adaptive intelligence systems that could process and respond to threats faster than the collective consciousness of the Nexus swarm. They were not just ships. They were living strategic entities, each one a complex computational system designed to learn and adapt in real time. Diplomatic channels across the Galactic Council went silent. The species that had once viewed humanity as a technological infant now watched in stunned disbelief as a fully formed military and technological power revealed itself. The Vexarian diplomatic representative, whose previous condescension had defined humanity's initial interactions with the Council, now looked pale and uncertain. Star charts behind the diplomat showed human vessels positioned at critical strategic points, not as an invasion, but as a comprehensive defensive network. Total fleet deployment at 97.3%. Another officer reported. The number meant more than a simple percentage. It represented years of secret research, global collaboration, and a fundamental understanding that survival in the universe required more than technological capability. It required imagination. Each ship carried technologies that challenged the fundamental understanding of physics. Quantum entanglement communication systems that could transmit information faster than light. Energy dispersal technologies that could neutralize entire attack vectors. Computational systems that learned and evolved faster than any known artificial intelligence. The revelation was not just about military might. It was a statement about human potential. Admiral Rodriguez watched the holographic displays, understanding the deeper implications of this moment. Humanity was no longer asking for a place at the galactic table. They were establishing their own table, on their own terms. All systems locked and ready, she muttered, more to herself than to anyone else in the room. The Nexus swarm had consumed civilizations. They had integrated technological systems from thousands of different species, but they had never encountered an intelligence that saw technological development as a form of collective art. They had never encountered humanity. As the human fleet settled into its strategic positions, the universe held its breath. Something fundamental had changed. The game had been rewritten, and humanity had just become the primary player. The battle that followed defied every known principle of space warfare. Captain Marcus Chen watched from the bridge of the quantum carrier horizon, his hands hovering above interfaces that seemed to anticipate his thoughts. The ship was more than a vessel. It was a living computational system that redefined the concept of artificial intelligence. Nexus swarm attack formations collapsed like intricate glass structures exposed to impossible pressures. Human ships moved with a fluidity that challenged the very understanding of physical movement. Where traditional vessels would turn or accelerate, these ships seemed to fold space around themselves, existing simultaneously in multiple potential states. Quantum predictive analysis at maximum. Lieutenant Sarah Rodriguez called out. Her fingers danced across holographic displays that shifted and reconfigured with each passing microsecond. The ship's computational systems were doing more than tracking enemy movements. They were predicting and countering strategies before the Nexus swarm could even formulate them. The fundamental difference became immediately apparent. Most species approached warfare as a linear problem. Attack, defend, counterattack. Humanity had transformed combat into a complex, adaptive system of continuous information processing. Each human vessel carried adaptive intelligence systems that learned and evolved with every millisecond of engagement. Weapon systems that could reconfigure themselves, energy dispersal technologies that could neutralize entire attack vectors in nanoseconds, defensive capabilities that anticipated threats before they could be conceived. The Nexus swarm's collective intelligence found itself confronted with an impossible scenario. Its computational models, developed through the consumption of thousands of civilizations, suddenly became obsolete. Where previous encounters had been simple consumption events, this was something entirely different. A living, thinking resistance. Computational disruption at 72%. A tactical officer reported. The number represented more than a simple percentage. It was the systematic deconstruction of a seemingly invincible technological organism. Across multiple star systems, the engagement played out with a precision that seemed almost like a complex dance. Human vessels moved in patterns that looked random but were actually the result of millisecond-level computational predictions. Energy weapons that could simultaneously exist in multiple quantum states struck with impossible accuracy. The horizon itself was a marvel of engineering. Its hull incorporated metamaterials that could bend light, radiation, and quantum signatures in ways that defied conventional understanding. Adaptive camouflage systems made the ship more than just a defensive platform. It became a living, thinking entity that could modify its own structural integrity in real time. Collective intelligence disruption increasing, Rodriguez continued. Each destroyed swarm vessel released computational data back into the system, data that the human fleet was simultaneously analyzing and using to predict future engagement strategies. It was more than a battle. It was a complex conversation conducted in the language of physics and information theory. Observation platforms across multiple star systems recorded an engagement that would be studied for generations. A single human fleet was not just defending itself. It was teaching a fundamental lesson about the nature of technological adaptation and collective intelligence. Captain Chen understood the deeper strategy. This was not about total destruction. It was about demonstrating a fundamental truth about human potential. The Nexus swarm had consumed civilizations that were technologically advanced beyond human understanding. They had integrated technological systems from thousands of different species, but they had never encountered an intelligence that saw technological development as a form of collective creativity. They had never encountered humanity. Quantum communication networks carried more than just tactical information. They transmitted a message of collective human potential, a species that could transform limitation into opportunity, that could see technological challenge as a form of collective art. Maintain adaptive engagement protocols, Chen commanded. The words were almost unnecessary. The ships were already performing beyond any predetermined strategy. Each vessel a living computational entity, it could think and adapt faster than any known intelligence. As the engagement continued, something fundamental was becoming clear. This was not just a battle against an external threat. This was humanity's statement to the universe. We are here. We are ready. And we are unlike anything you have ever encountered. The Nexus swarm was about to learn a lesson it would never forget. The aftermath of the conflict rewrote every fundamental understanding of galactic politics. Diplomatic chambers across multiple star systems fell into stunned silence. The species that had once viewed humanity as a technological footnote now found themselves reassessing every previous assumption. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez stood before the Galactic Council, her posture calm and her presentation meticulously prepared. The holographic displays behind her told a story of technological triumph that defied conventional understanding. Each chart, each diagram was a testament to human potential, not just military might, but a comprehensive approach to technological and strategic development. We are proposing a complete restructuring of galactic governance, she announced, her voice carrying a clarity that cut through centuries of established diplomatic protocols. The Vexarian representative, who had previously dismissed humanity with condescension, now sat in visible discomfort. Star charts showed the comprehensive defeat of the Nexus swarm, with human vessels positioned at critical strategic points. It was not an invasion. It was a protective network that challenged every existing concept of interstellar defense. Our proposal is simple, Elena continued. A new framework of cooperation based on adaptive potential, technological innovation, and collective security. Behind her, complex diagrams demonstrated humanity's approach. It was not about dominance, but about a fundamental reimagining of galactic cooperation. Where previous diplomatic models had been rigid and hierarchical, the human proposal suggested a dynamic, adaptive system of governance. The global research and diplomatic teams had spent years preparing for this moment. Every aspect of the proposal had been carefully analyzed, every potential counterargument anticipated and addressed. Dr. Marcus Chen, lead strategic analyst, had spent months developing the computational models that now formed the backbone of the diplomatic presentation. His team had created a governance framework that was more than just a political document. It was a living, adaptive system that could evolve in real time. Technological development is not a competition, Elena explained. It is a collective journey of discovery. The most radical aspect of the proposal was its approach to technological sharing. Instead of the previous model of limited technology transfer and strict controls, humanity proposed an open-source approach to scientific and technological development. Each species would contribute, each would benefit, and the entire galactic community would advance together. Diplomatic representatives from multiple star systems struggled to process the implications. This was not a traditional negotiation. This was a fundamental reimagining of interstellar cooperation. The Prevails representative, a massive crystalline being that had previously been one of the most conservative voices in the council, now showed unexpected interest. The human proposal represented something beyond traditional diplomatic thinking, a true ecosystem of technological and cultural exchange. We understand the concerns, Elena continued. Our proposal is not about forcing a single model of development. It is about creating a framework that allows for diverse approaches while maintaining collective security. Behind her, holographic displays showed complex network models. These were not simple political diagrams, but living computational systems that demonstrated how different species could collaborate without losing their individual identities. The defeat of the Nexus swarm had changed everything. Humanity had not just demonstrated military capability. They had shown a fundamentally different approach to technological and cultural development. "We are proposing a galactic research collaborative," Dr. Chen explained during a subsequent technical briefing. "Not a hierarchy, but a network. Each species contributes, each species benefits." The proposal challenged every existing model of interstellar cooperation. It suggested that technological development was not a zero-sum game, but a collective journey of discovery. Ambassador Rodriguez understood the deeper implications. This was about more than immediate political gains. This was about setting a foundation for a more collaborative galactic future. As the diplomatic discussions continued, something fundamental was becoming clear. Humanity had entered the galactic stage not as a conqueror, but as a collaborator, not seeking to dominate, but to transform the very understanding of collective potential. The universe was about to change, and humanity was leading the way. Time passed differently in the aftermath of humanity's revelation. The research facility, deep within the Andean Mountains, stood as a testament to the journey that had brought humanity to this moment. Dr. Helena Rodriguez walked through the corridors that had once been filled with secret preparations, now transformed into a collaborative international research center. Holographic displays lined the walls, showing the intricate network of galactic research and diplomatic connections that had emerged. What had begun as a hidden defensive strategy had blossomed into something far more profound, a new approach to interstellar cooperation that challenged every previous model of technological and cultural exchange. "The first joint research station is coming online," a young scientist announced, her excitement palpable. The station, positioned at the intersection of 3 different star systems, represented more than just a scientific outpost. It was a living symbol of the new galactic paradigm. Researchers from multiple species worked side by side. Vexarian computational experts collaborated with human quantum physicists. Krells and biological researchers shared insights with Earth's leading xenobiological teams. The barriers that had once seemed insurmountable now appeared almost absurd in retrospect. The defeat of the Nexus swarm had been more than a military victory. It was a profound demonstration of human potential, not through conquest, but through adaptability, creativity, and a fundamental belief in collective progress. Admiral Marcus Chen reviewed the latest strategic assessments. The human fleet remained positioned strategically, not as a threat, but as a protective network. Each vessel was now as much a research platform as a defensive asset. The technologies developed during the conflict continued to evolve, pushing the boundaries of scientific understanding. Collaborative research output has increased by 327%, an analyst reported. The numbers told a story of unprecedented technological advancement. Species that had been isolated for millennia now found themselves part of a living, breathing network of scientific discovery. The Galactic Council had been completely transformed. The rigid hierarchical structure that had existed for thousands of stellar cycles had given way to a more dynamic, adaptive system. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. They had invited the galaxy to reimagine itself. Dr. Sarah Chen, head of the Interstellar Collaborative Research Initiative, presented the latest findings. Holographic displays showed breakthrough after breakthrough. Medical technologies that could heal previously incurable conditions, energy systems that could revitalize dying star systems, communication technologies that bridged previously insurmountable cultural divides. "We are not just sharing technology," she explained during a multi-species broadcast. "We are creating a new understanding of collective potential." The philosophical implications were profound. The approach was not about uniformity, but about celebrating diversity while finding common ground. Each species brought its unique perspective, its distinctive approach to problem-solving. In orbit around Earth, the first truly collaborative space station continued to expand. It was more than a scientific outpost. It was a living demonstration of what was possible when species approached each other with curiosity instead of fear. The technologies developed during the conflict with the Nexus swarm continued to bear fruit. Quantum communication systems that could transmit information across impossible distances, adaptive medical technologies that could understand and treat diverse biological systems, energy generation methods that could revitalize entire planetary ecosystems. We were never just preparing for a conflict. Admiral Chen reflected during a strategic review. We were preparing for a conversation. The universe had changed. Where once there had been isolation, now there was connection. Where once there had been fear, now there was collaborative potential. Younger generations across multiple species grew up with a fundamentally different understanding of interstellar relations. The old narratives of competition and conflict seemed increasingly irrelevant. They were part of something larger, a collective journey of discovery. The research facility that had once been a secret defensive complex now hosted diplomatic delegations from across the galaxy. Where once there had been hidden preparations, now there was open collaboration. We are not just exploring space, one of the young researchers said, looking out over the holographic displays that showed the intricate network of galactic connections. We are exploring what it means to be alive in this universe. As stellar cycles passed, the story of humanity's emergence became something more than a historical moment. It became a turning point, a reminder that the greatest potential lies not in conquest, but in connection. The universe continued to expand, and humanity had found its place within it.